Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is the Voices of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a shamanic Reiki master teacher, but I'm also very passionate about holistic healing. And today's guest is Will Person. He is an Olympic trained athlete, and he had CTE, which tell us what that is, Will.
It's a condition caused by concussions
Yeah.
and repetitive head trauma.
So he discovered hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and he is raising awareness on brain damage due to sports, military, and other types of collisions. So welcome to the show, Will.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so
We've just
much.
been chit-chatting about everything for 30 minutes, and I had to tell Will, I was like, we need to get this on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us more about yourself and, what happened to you and how you ended up finding hyperbaric oxygen therapy and why is that so useful or effective?
Well, I kind of think like my journey. First of all, it was a rough journey, guys. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. And I don't want to mislead anybody. But if you're dealing with people in your life who have concussion issues, and they get to where I was at, and my teammates, it's brutal. It's like I was in dementia in my 30s. Like I didn't know where I was at. Sometimes I was getting lost in my own community. Um, every day I woke up, I know I didn't know what the day is. I had the little daily planner to see what day it is, and once I figured out the day, I had to figure out the month. And all that came from me, competing for 9 years with the U.S. Winter Olympic team. I was a bobsledder, and I had no idea that what I was doing was causing damage to the brain. And my background was really mental health. Like my first job out of college, I was 23 years old. I worked for San Joaquin County Mental Health Department, and so it was the first ever mental health department that was west of the Mississippi River. So everybody with extreme behaviors flocked there for help. And so here I am working at this place. I'm watching people with depression, bipolar, all this different schizophrenias, and we had people who had what was that? Lobotomy people were still walking around back then. And sometimes we have people come through for evaluations who were the criminally insane. So mental health was my background. And years later, I wound up opening the first ever independent living transitional housing program for the state of Utah. So they opened me as a pilot program. And so my background was always about helping others and around mental health. And it wound up saving my life because part of CTE is if you look at the man, it's a lot of disturbing information about to come at you. But if you look at the last few years since 2012, they say 31% of the mass shootings that come out here are veterans coming back to turn the guns on themselves, on their friends, or on strangers. So our mass shooting, if you look at all the mass shooters, 31% veterans, and then we have our athletes who committed a lot of them. And it's just I guess what people kind of not. I'm not sure if they're not connecting the dots because these people were diagnosed with CTE. And so if you look at the world now, like, in America, like you can't go to school, you can't go to the movies. There's always a threat of being shot somewhere, and you just don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And it's happening more frequently right now. And yeah, and so that's the disturbing part. Like, yeah, we know we talked earlier about it, but there's reported 6,400 suicides per year for our veterans, at least for 2020, 2021, and 2022. 6,400 suicides each year. But what they don't tell us is that if that veteran overdosed, which is the way most people with these conditions self-medicate was with alcohol or drugs, and if you overdose, even if you leave a suicide note, they don't count that as a suicide. So there's an additional 5,000 uh, veteran deaths every year. And like, I'm just here. I found a way to kind of help myself because of Joe Namath. I'm not sure if you know who Joe Namath is,
Mhm.
but yeah, that guy, he showed up at the right time and he saved my life. Like I was definitely in dementia. Like I said, I was gone. Like I was on the floor praying for death every day for some years. And And one reason, like my teammates had started already taking their life, and it was on my heart to do it. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to leave that trauma for my family. I know what that looks like, especially as a counselor. I've
Yeah,
seen
so
that.
you were bobsledding and you were getting injured, and so were your teammates. And then you noticed that they were going through some of these symptoms of CTE, and you yourself were going through it too.
Oh man, I was going through it badly, man. And one of my teammates called me one day. He wanted to be a writer, and so like when I was like 26, I was. If you ever see the movie Jerry Maguire,
Hmm.
I was one of the guys you see running up and down the football field. They hired me to play 5 characters, so I was a sprinter. So they put a uniform on me and let me run up and down the field and work with Cuba and Tom Cruise and all those guys. And so when I left Team USA, one of my buddies, he wanted to be a writer, so he called me. So entertainment's in my background, so I'm helping him. He's giving me these ideas for this script, and it's things I've never seen before. And I was like, that's so interesting. So I'm teaching him how to put it in the right formats and stuff. And then the very last time he called me, he was speaking gibberish. He, man, like I didn't understand anything he said, and he got so frustrated he hung up the phone. And so every day, mental health is my background. I'm telling myself every day I got to help this guy. I got to help him. Eventually, I get the word that he went to his family's factory and he hung himself. And when he did that, like I felt extremely responsible. Felt like my hands were just dirty because I didn't do anything, and I knew better, And but the truth was, once his autopsy report came out, we found out he was in stage 4 of CTE. That's why he couldn't talk anymore. And the truth was, I was living on my own floor in my own apartment in Los Angeles, and I couldn't help him because I needed help too. I just didn't know how bad off I was. Yeah, because at
And
that
they
time,
sweeping this under the rug, right? Like they knew what
absolutely.
was happening and they weren't, the coaches or whoever's in charge, and they weren't addressing it.
Well, what I found out is they knew about some of the guys knew about it, and they just weren't passing the information to the athletes. And so, even to this day, right now, when I saw what was going on, I filed a class action, and I requested 2 things. One, asked my lawyers to take care of all my guys, make sure they're okay. Truth was, I thought I would be dead any day because, like, I was struggling with words as well, and I was already lost in my community. I was in dementia. I knew my days were numbered. Not to mention, I was already praying for death every day. That was my prayer, and yeah. But so it just got brutal. I'm sorry, I lost my little train of thought there, but
Yeah, we're talking about how um, the athletes weren't being told about
oh
the
yeah, yeah.
dangers. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. So in court, that's what I asked them for. 2 things, like warn the guys, and the other thing is warn the new generation before they get in that sled the first time. They should know about the long term effects. So, and those are things that they're still fighting me on on the court case side of it, and I don't understand why they won't warn. Like if they warn, this case is over. I'll sign off on it. But until they start warning the athletes, I just can't do it. How can I watch another young man go through this or another young lady, somebody's child? Like, yeah, within 10 years of you leaving that sport, your brain is you're gonna be in dementia just like the rest of us.
Hmm.
Because every athlete I spoke to, and every athlete they spoke to, everybody's dealing with it. Yeah.
Wow. So, are there certain sports that are more dangerous, or just in general, people are suffering from it? Athletes are suffering from it.
Well, bobsledding, what I know about it now is every time I went down that track, we were probably getting micro concussions. And those micro concussions they're dangerous. They're more dangerous to me. They're more dangerous than the big concussions because the big concussions are going to make me go lay down and not do anything because I'm too weak or I'm lethargic or I'm dizzy or got vertigo or something's it's going to knock your system off where you can't do anything for until the symptoms resolve. But with the micro concussions, I think it's doing the same damage but it's not telling your body that you're hurt. So you piling damage on top of damage, and I
Mhm.
believe that's what the biggest thing is. But all this, I won't say all sports, but we definitely know about football.
Yeah.
Soccer is actually the number 1 sport right now for CTE, from what I understand. It's definitely in our Winter Olympic sports, our bobsled and skeleton. Um, but it's in our veterans. Like our veterans are coming back with PTSD diagnosis. But now they're finding out that some of those guys who had the PTSD diagnosis actually had CTE. But the problem is they only see it when they're once we die and they dissect our brain. And so yeah, so some of this information is just not getting passed. And they're just and the symptoms sometimes look like other things. Like for me, I thought I was diabetic. I've been seeing doctors for about 10 years, I think, thinking I'm diabetic because I was cloudy and confused and then I began to live off of caffeine because I couldn't get out of bed without it. And I never drank coffee as an athlete. I never drank soda. I didn't even let my children drink that stuff. Like, so here I am. I started to live off of it, and that'll start causing you more health problems. To be very honest. So, but yeah, yeah, a lot of the sports,
Yeah,
it's
so
everywhere.
you heard about Joe Namath. I guess he was using a hyperbaric oxygen therapy and it was working for him, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
decided to try it.
yeah. You know what? Once Pavle was diagnosed with CTE, my teammate, and I began to see the signs in everybody else, including myself. Then I started specifically looking for CTE treatments. And there wasn't really anything out there. I mean, I've talked to doctors, I did the research. We're always treating the symptoms. So
Hmm.
when Joe Namath showed up, he said he reversed his symptoms with this hyperbaric oxygen. I tried it, but be honest, I didn't think it was going to work because nothing else was working. And I was watching all these athletes around the world just suffer. And so for me, I was in that chamber for 1 hour. And when I came out, like my life changed. Like I could see colors again. All that I was cloudy for about almost 10 years at that time. It took my cloudiness away for 6 days the first time I used it. The second time I went back the end of that next week, it took I could have about 9 days of clarity at that point. And so at that point I knew I had to have one. So that's the machine you see behind me. I've had this one ever since. Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah,
Well,
and matter of fact, oh I'm
well,
sorry, go ahead.
thank goodness you found what worked because, a lot of this is trial and error. You need to find something. And that's why I do the podcast because, maybe somebody's going to hear this and it's going to click for them. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and they're going to realize, wait a minute, there's something I can try, or maybe I don't have diabetes, or maybe I don't have dementia. I, have a brain injury.
Yeah. Let me grab my charger real quick because I switched over to my phone, so I don't want it to shut us off. Be right back. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, let's hope this thing here is charged up enough. I apologize. I normally use my laptop, but today it was giving us grief.
So it's kind of interesting. You had a background in mental health and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
had the brain injury, but we were talking off camera about some abilities that you've had since you were younger. And you
yeah.
have this, what I call the gift of prophecy, that you would know things would happen or dream about things that happen. And when you were going through this injury, were you still having those that information coming through, or did it stop?
Um, well, I have been going through. I started racing for the Olympic team in 2002. No, 98. I'm sorry. My first concussion was in 2002. But I've always had those premonitions and things like since I was a child. That was just part of me. I didn't always understand what it meant, and but yeah, it's always been a part of me.
Yeah. And so now that you're getting the treatment that's helping you, has it changed your abilities at all? Has it become stronger?
Um, to be very honest, and I don't mean this to be in an arrogant way. When I first understood what this thing was, my abilities, like before most of my life, I ran from it. Whenever I saw it, I was just trying to go the other direction. But I started trying to find community that that would help me understand what I was dealing with and how to deal with it, right? And so the more people I found, the more I figured out that my abilities are different from most people. Some people have part of this and a part of that and part of this, but all the things that most people are trying to do over here on this side of the healing part, like it's naturally happens within me. So like it's not something I asked for. Matter of fact, I used to be angry because like I was like, I ain't asked for this. Like, why am I dealing with this stuff?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just who I am. It's just the way God made me. Like I said, forever I thought it was a curse, but I've saved so many lives. It's like I mean, if I brought everybody on here one by one who life has touched, we'd probably be here for hours.
Yeah,
But
that's why I call it a gift.
yeah, I was in my 40s before I realized that though. But like before, I thought I was cursed all the way until I was 40 when I really had the time to really sit down and look at it and to see what it was and to see what all it's only done. It's only helped. It's never done harm.
Yeah. So what do you
Yeah.
mean that you've saved people's lives? Can you give an example?
Sure, I can give you a lot. Well, for example, there was one young lady. We went out like on our first date. We just met, and it was something about her legs, right? I was like, what? I don't know what it was, and I finally asked her. I said, have you had a physical lately? Have you been to a doctor? When last time you been checked out? And she said, oh, not long ago. I said, we should go get a physical, get checked out. And so she didn't listen to me, of course. And remember, I still have the text messages in my old iPhone. It's a 4S. That's how long ago this was. And it's about 2012. And so she says, one day I get this random text from her. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm responding like, what do you mean? She's like, I was on a plane and I almost died. And and I was like, please explain. And she's like, well, she wound up having blood clots in her legs. And she she was on a plane and she almost died. And she was like, well, why didn't you tell me to go to the doctor? I told you to go to the doctor, you
Yeah.
know, As a matter of fact, one of the first ladies who helped me understand what I was dealing with, she showed me a picture of her fiance. And I went, uh-oh, get him, he's sick. She said, no, he just had a work physical. He's doing great. There's nothing wrong with him. He just got a new job, got a new physical and everything. I said, he's sick. And so about a month later, she calls me, hey, let's have lunch. I was like, sure. So we meet up and she's just she's choked up. Her fiance started having seizures back to back, back to back, back to back. And she's like, I should have listened to you. Like I said, nobody ever really listens when it comes to that stuff. But it's just but you were warned. So you when it happens, you know what to do, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's a ton of those things. I mean I can probably do this all day long.
So
But
is it usually medical or like
if
a
it no, no,
other
like
thing?
when I first left Team USA, I bought my dream car. And this guy who sold it to me, we kept in touch. We used to go hang out every now and then. Then I left the state for a while. I was a single dad, and when I moved, I was ready to move back to California. And my new girlfriend needed a car. He's my car guy, so I went online, looked for his website. I didn't see it. I tried his phone number, couldn't find it. And I said, God, what happened to this guy? And so I go to sleep that night. I get this premonition. The feds came in, kicked in the doors. And then the next day I'm calling around. I find this guy. I said, listen, his name is Will too. So I know you don't know me like this, man, but I just gave him the whole rundown. I said, the feds came in and they locked your bosses up and you were just as guilty or they threw you under the bus. I said, you got to quit that job right now, leave. He was like, oh, no, they moved me to a new spot on Sunset Boulevard. He said, no, everything's good. I said, man, I know what I saw, man. Just be careful. So that was in like around November of 2014. So my girlfriend moves here from Europe, and then she's in. I think it's January 15th. We go see this guy. So I go to his new place on Sunset Boulevard, and as I'm walking up to him, I get this eerie feeling. I'm like, I said, Will, did you take care of that thing I talked to you about? He starts going, shh, and he said, let's go outside and talk. So here's my new girlfriend. She's watching this. She don't know what she just walked into. I tried to explain it to her before, but I don't think she really got it until then. And so everything I told him happened. The feds came in and they kicked in the door. They locked his boss up, took all the computers. They didn't arrest him. That was on January 15th. On January 17th, he was in jail too. So he would call me all the time with, "Hey, Will, man, life is so bad. I'm depressed. I can't make money right now." Da, da, da. So I had this, it was like about, I don't know how many months, it was a while. I had this another dream. So I called him. I said, "Hey, Will, I think you're sick." I said, "I got some good news and bad news. Good news, this case is almost over. I said, the bad news is you're sick. I think you might be drinking or something. I don't know, but you're sick. You need to stop drinking." He said, "Yeah, his gout had kicked in and he's having a hard time walking." I said, "Yeah, that's what it is. Stop, put that down." And he said, "But you're wrong." He said, "They throwing the book at me." He said, "I'm not walking away from this thing. They trying to give me real jail time." I said, "It's almost over." So he said, "No, no, no." The following week, my phone rings. He's like, "Man, you're a genius. You are a genius." Man, I had to pay a fine. I got my license back, everything, you know. And he said, "We're going to celebrate in Beverly Hills." He said, "Come bring your girl. Come on down on Friday. We're going to celebrate." I said, "Okay." So we had a little spot we used to go to a lot on right on Beverly Hills. I think it was on Cannon Boulevard. It was always there. So we go, me and my girlfriend, we walk into the place. We don't see him. She said, I called his phone and went straight to voicemail. She said, "Where is he?" I said, "He's in jail." She said, "In jail? He just got out of jail." I was like, "Yeah, he's back in there." So about 3 days later, my buddy calls me. He said, "Hey man, I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I started drinking too early. I tied one on and I had to go home and sleep it off." I said, "That's funny. I saw you sitting in jail." He was like, "Man, I don't know why I keep lying to you. Man, the Beverly Hills Police Department, they're racist. I'm suing them. I'm going to sue them." So he was on that kick. But it's just those kind of things. Like, I love when people lie to me, like, because I already know, like, why are you lying to me? Like, we don't, you have no reason to lie to me. Like, that's just kind of how I'm made. And then, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I'm the same way. Like, I
Yeah.
feel physically uncomfortable when someone's lying to me or hiding something. It
Oh,
doesn't
I
even
don't.
be a lie, but like I'll feel it in my body. It's actually not like a knowing or it's a physical feeling.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just know. Like our brain is kind of like the internet. Like we get to see things um, that other people don't see. Like when I was predicting the housing market crash. I mean, I even posted it on Facebook. I mean, I even predicted the first housing crash. But it's just I didn't go to school for any of that stuff. I'm not a savant or anything like that. I just know. I always tell people I'm like that dude from Cheers, Cliff Clavin. I have all this stupid information in my brain that I didn't study for, I didn't ask for, but I just know.
Yeah.
But then
So
you ask, yeah.
the information comes through. Is it a knowing? Is it a feeling? Do you see? Do you have a vision or do you hear words? Like, how does the information come through?
Well, all of the above, all of
Okay.
the above. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But like I said, most of my life, I really, I've learned in life just like if it doesn't save a life, I don't pass the information anymore.
Yeah.
If your life is not in danger, I'm not going to pass it. And that's just kind of where I'm with it now. But yeah, but if it's important, I'm gonna be there. If it's not, then I'm just gonna let. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm taking away people's journey. And I try not to do that. We all have
Yeah.
the journey.
And also they're responsible for their own decisions. So they can listen to you or not listen to you because they're on their own journey.
Well, for me, like the first time it happened to me, I was 17. Like when I really noticed it. Like me and my brother, he was 3 years older than me, and we were like, my brother was 5'2", I'm 6'1". He's 3 years older than me, so they teased my brother a lot. Like your little brother's gonna be bigger than you. So my brother, he just kind of resented me most of our life. Once I started to outgrow him, it was just, you know. So he had a car, and I had my own car. I'm never gonna drive his car. He's never gonna drive my car. We don't like each other. That's just what it is. So one night I'm having a dream, and it's a real premonition. Like I'm going up my street, I make a right hand turn, and there, I mean, we're going down a little. This road's not that windy, but we get up to this little stoplight, and then the light turns red. Like, and in his car here, it was a 1978 Caprice Classic. So if the car was running, you can turn it with your little finger. Like you can just. But if your car wasn't running, you had to like, try to. and the brakes were really sensitive. Like we didn't wear seatbelts in the '80s, so if you hit that brake too hard, you're gonna hit your face on the steering wheel because we didn't wear seatbelts. So one night I'm dreaming I'm driving his car, and so I go up my street, I make that right hand turn, and right where the stoplight was, like I couldn't stop the car, so I panicked. I just turned it hard as I could, and it was a store right there. I ran into that store and I died. And this premonition, I died. So I woke up, I'm sweating. But it was like that really just happened. It was like there was no mistake, and I was there. Like, but I'm here. Like, how could this be? Like, I don't understand this. And so, man, I'm just kind of wigged out. So I wake up in the morning. I got a little job at Taco Bell in the summertime. So I go to my car, and my car won't start. So my mom's at work already. So I asked my brother to give me a ride. And he threw me the keys, and I'm walking away with his keys, and I'm remembering what I just dreamed. So I threw him back. I was like, "Hey man, just give me a ride, please." He said, "No, but if you get into work, you taking my car because I'm not going to take you." And I can't tell him what I just dreamed because he gonna think I'm crazy. So, oh man, I went out to his car and I sat down and I said, "Okay, if his car cuts off, I can reach up on the column, put it back in neutral, restart it, put it back in drive, and keep going." I just played with that a few times, and it made sense in my head. I said, "Okay, that'll work." So I started to start the car up. It was running smoothly. Not absolutely nothing wrong with that car at all. Nothing. It's smooth. So I start on my journey. I'm like, "You idiot. You just had all that anxiety for what?" And I make that right hand turn, and I'll be doggone if the car didn't cut off at the exact same spot as it did in the dream. But I didn't panic. I just reached up, I neutraled it, restarted it, put it back in drive, and just kept on going. And I was like, "What the heck was that?" And I never told anybody for years. I just, it wasn't something it was just another one of them weird things.
Yeah.
And a few years later, like I wound up getting a Camaro on my way to college. I bought a Camaro. And my check in, I'll be driving from California to St. Louis a lot. And so my check engine light will come on a lot. And so what I would do, that same thing, I would put it in neutral, turn the car off, turn it back on, restart it, put it back in drive. And I got at least 40, 60 miles before that annoying orange light come back on, that yellow light or whatever it was, says check engine. And I've been doing that my whole life, but not remembering where it really came from. And that's where it really came from. And that's the reason why I usually try to pass the messages. Because I feel like, God saved my life. And so if he saved my life, I owe it to save others' lives. And I said, I listened, so maybe they'll listen.
Well,
In a lot of cases,
you're getting the information for a reason.
yes.
No,
Yes.
it's like when I'm doing Reiki on someone and I get some information about what's going on with them, health wise, emotional wise, whatever. I always share it because I figure I'm getting that information right now for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling you earlier, like once I had to go in the hospital for AFib. And when I was there, I finally disclosed everything to a doctor. And, they were, well, the nurse came back one day. She was like, "Hey, they believed everything you said. I've never seen it written this way." And so when we finally pulled my medical records state EESP. Well, one of them doctors I was telling you, they came in the room and they asked me. They said, "Well, they didn't ask me. They told me somebody from the government would like to talk to you." And I was like, "Hey, am I protected by HIPAA?" And they was like, "Yeah." And that was that. They never bothered me after that. But I guarantee I was on some stupid watch list. Yeah.
Well, probably because you've been an athlete, you're kind of, out there in the spotlight and everything. So,
No, that's not why. That's not
no.
why. No, they find people who have gifts like that and they exploit them. That's what it really
Oh,
is.
yeah. They don't come
Yeah.
around me because they can't exploit me. So,
Yeah.
I have a lot of protection too.
Well, they
So,
definitely will ask if they ever figure it out. They will trust me. They will be knocking on the door. They'll be watching you. But
well,
I didn't believe this stuff until like if them doctors hadn't come to me and I wasn't alone when they did it. It's not like they gave me this secret encrypted note and then it disintegrated after they said it. No, they said it right there with my family in the room. Like it was either my family, one of my friends.
yeah.
It was like, yeah, somebody from government want to talk. No, they don't want to talk to me. But yeah, it's a real thing. And my medical records actually state ESP. So anybody don't believe me, My medical records state ESP on the bottom. It's yeah,
Well, you know, I believe you.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
everything I say, there's receipts for it, so I don't. Yeah, I'm just not making up some stuff. Yeah.
So like you get information about the collective, like the housing crash and stuff. So it's not just individuals, it's like collective information.
Yeah, it's collective.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It just comes from everywhere. I just and sometimes like the disturbing part is sometimes like I'll see somebody fall. I'll know where they're going to fall at, but I might not know exactly which person of the five who's with me who's going to be the one that falls.
So do
Like
you
one,
tell everybody?
no, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like one time it was at this is a place I had never been before. At someone's house. I was working there with these people. And I kept my eye on these certain steps that were made out of this flagstones kind of stuff, and I knew somebody fell and they died, right? And so this one was a little bit disturbing for me, but they so at the end of the night, this lady fell as the event was ending. She fell right where I had been watching the whole night, and blood was squirting out of her head like this. It was like. And she was like, "Oh, I don't think I need to go to the hospital." Her family was there. They were actually having a conversation about whether she needs to go or not. And I already knew what happened. So I picked her up and I said, "Get the goddamn car." Excuse my language. And so, oh man, sometimes I get a little. It's been so long, you forget about it.
Yeah.
Emotions come, yeah. But I just grabbed her, put her in these people's car, and she made it. She lived, but that wasn't going to be the outcome if she didn't get in that car. But so was that stuff, you. Oh man, so man, draining. Put it that way, it can be very draining.
Yeah. I can see how it can feel like heavy, I count myself lucky that I'm not like this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had dreams about things that show up in my reality, but they're well, they're kind of like synchronicities that keep repeating, like I had a dream that I bought a beach house years ago and that I was looking at the mortgage statement and it said $153 a month. And I remember
Wow.
in the dream going, what kind of what kind of beach, house is this? This is great, right? Well, I did end up buying a place by the beach like a couple years later. And that number is very significant to me because um, I'm connected to Mary Magdalene. I don't know if you know who she is,
Yeah, of
but
course.
in gematria, her number is 153.
Oh, interesting.
So the dream alerted me to the number, but I didn't know what the number really meant until I read this book by Margaret Starbird about Mary Magdalene and her gematria number being 153. And I was like, well,
Hmm.
it makes sense now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
everything you said just went over my head. Like I don't read about any of this stuff. I don't research it. It's just I just get from whatever I see. And like sometimes I'm talking to people like that's such and such and such. I'm like I remember at one point lady was like I was having these disturbing things I was dealing with. And so one of them was like leaving your body. And like I'm literally outside my body. And my spirit is playing with my face. I'm so inquisitive trying to figure out what I'm doing out here. And so I remember I finally broke down and told somebody. And they was like, "Oh, that's just astral projection. My brother does that."
Yeah.
I was like, "What? You mean this thing I've been keeping a secret my whole life?" And then I started going online and looking it up. I said, "Oh my God, I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. I'm not the only one dealing with this stuff." Like, wow.
Apparently, people do it at night when they're sleeping. It's a natural. Some people just astral travel, and then some
Yeah,
people remember, and a lot of people don't.
yeah, yeah.
And we can get into it because you could probably travel throughout time in your dreams, and I know I do that when I do my shamanic journeying.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
yeah,
when it first started, I feared it. Like I was getting stuck outside my body. I was like, I couldn't. Sometimes I couldn't get back in. You know, it was just like felt like an eternity. You know, and so I thought really thought I was dying when it first started happening. I thought I was dying, and I was here. I am outside my body, playing with my face, walking around, well, floating around my apartment, kind of like I must be dead. Like you know, and so like yeah, when you can't get back in the body, you're like, this is it.
yeah,
Next thing you know, you get back in there. It's like, oh shoot, what was that?
yeah.
So
You're
yeah,
connected by a cord to your astral energy, your spirit. So
that's what they say, but
yeah,
I don't know.
you
Man. I
cannot, you
just
can't go back when you want to.
yeah, sometimes I really couldn't, and like I've seen some things like my God, like I've seen some things put it that way. Yeah. Matter of
Hmm.
fact, so the reason why I even brought a lot of that up was because I was dealing with concussion stuff on the Olympic team. I'm thinking, okay, maybe some of the stuff I was seeing was hallucinations or um, so they pull my medical records, and when your doctors agree with you, it's like it's hard to start disputing. Like,
Hmm.
okay, that wasn't, hallucination. This is what I've always been.
Well, it's a real thing. It's just, you know, whether you believe you're a spirit in a body or you're just a body, you know.
Well, I don't think it matters whether you believe or not. Because for me, I didn't believe any of this. I didn't ask for this. I never, and as a matter of fact, when I was trying to find community, there were people out there trying to do what I was doing. I was like, you don't want to open that door. Like, do not open that door. They were like, yeah, I do. And then, matter of fact, a lot of them be worn, they had all this extra jewelry and beads and stuff when they were doing all this. I was like, well, why? Well, I'm trying to think, why are you doing that? Like when they were really trying to enchant and bring these things, I was like, first of all, if you bring this thing, you open that door, you're going to be sorry because you can't close that door. I said, I didn't ask for this door to be open. And then I see some mediums where they're actually talking, supposedly talking to spirits and stuff. And um, they're kind of like a seance. They're bringing them back to talk to them. Like the ones that come to talk to me, I didn't ask for that. And I'm not
Hmm.
going to do that on purpose. So people were calling me, hey, can you contact my deceased grandma and ask? No, I'm not. I'm not that guy. We'll pay you. No, I don't care about the money. It's not about money. Like wherever they are, it's what it's supposed to be. I'm not who am I to be bringing them back? Like you know, yeah. But some people can seem to control it, like that medium from the Long Island medium. I think that's her name, the Rhode
Hmm.
Island or Long Island. And so I always wonder, like, are these people really real, or maybe they just have more control over it than I do? I don't really know the truth on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But what
think
I can say is I listen, and it's definitely saved my life numerous times, and like everything I own now comes because of that. You
yeah.
know, I saw the crash. I told people about it, and I was blessed enough to be able to, you know, I guess level up on it. I guess, which I hated to do. I hated to buy these homes that so many people lost their homes that year. Here I am coming back to buy it for pennies on the dollar. Like it was disturbing. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So earlier in the episode, you talked about vets committing suicide. Do you think a lot of them have brain injuries and that's why they're becoming suicidal? What's the connection there?
You mean the soldiers?
Yes.
Well, man, yeah, I'm looking at the soldiers. Most of them were diagnosed PTSD. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure people can see awful things that'll give them PTSD. For some reason, they also, when they're checking their brain when they die, they're finding CTE, which is the same thing that's killing the athletes, that's killing the housewife who had domestic violence done to her so many times. Now she's dying with CTE. There's a whole lot of women like that now. Or the
Hmm.
housewife who was playing with her kids and she fell down and hit her head one time. And she got the same symptoms. It's all the same stuff. And I think I've kind of figured it out. It's like I was an athlete from the time I was like 11 till I was 36 years old. I won my last national championship with the US Bobsled team. And I remember I turned 37 that year. So I was an athlete a long time. Anytime I had an injury, what happens is you injure a part of the body, swelling runs to that part of the body just to calm it down. And so it protects it. So what we have to do is put ice on it and compress it to push the fluid out and keep it from doing more damage. Then after a few days, we alternate with heat and ice. And then we'll do electric stim. There's ultrasound machines, there's acupuncture. There's a lot of things that they do to, remove that inflammation. But when it comes to the brain and concussions, they do absolutely nothing to remove that stuff. And so I believe that's why when I was in that chamber for the first time, for 1 hour, it just took 10 years of cloudiness off. From where I thought I was diabetes, it was out the window now because now here I am awake again. And so I really believe that's it. We haven't been removing the inflammation around the brain when we get those injuries. And I believe that's why it's there. And so I believe all these people who coming back, if you were around the compression blast in the military, or if you were playing sports and you were getting, smashing helmets with people or getting a ball bounced off your head, you know, I believe you should probably try hyperbaric oxygen to remove that inflammation. And you're gonna know pretty quick too. You're gonna know within the month if you're. For me, I knew within 1 hour. And
Wow.
so yeah, it's really that simple.
So I imagine these machines are expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have to go find someone who has one and pay them to use it, right?
Yeah, and they're pretty expensive. They can be expensive. The one I have behind me, I paid almost 20,000 for. But it's been a lifesaver. Without it, like before I found that machine around 2022. Before that, I was struggling to put sentences together.
Yeah.
And I was struggling. And then even now, like if I go a long period without using it, I'll start to get a little bit cloudy again. I'll get a little bit struggling with words and stuff. Or if different stressors in my life kick up, it can actually trigger that. And I know I have to make sure I get back in that machine. But definitely if I go 30 days without it, sometime I'll start having some symptoms reoccur. And I just hop back in there and I'm good again. So
Do you think it would help dementia patients? Is there any
I would
study on that?
a- absolutely. Matter of fact, when I once I realized I was in dementia, when I didn't realize until I came out of it. And once I started telling, hey guys, I was in dementia. I was lost in my community. I didn't know what any days was, or any months were. I mean, I could hardly put together sentences. I knew I was in dementia, and I was talking to people who actually manufacture these machines, and so here I am coming with this information. I'm thinking I'm telling them some new, like I recreated the wheel, like I just discovered the wheel. And they brought out these brochures. They was like, you mean like this? And it was like paperwork showing where they treat people with Alzheimer's and dementia with these machines. And I was thinking, wow, man, like, where is this information at? Like,
Yeah,
yeah. So I was definitely in dementia, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's something my mother suffered with late in life. So, we didn't know, we learning what causes it now, and maybe there's
Yeah.
possible treatments for it. So what are you up to now, Will? What are you doing?
Well, I've just finished up my not for profit. And so, like I said, I actually used to own a treatment facility for children. You know what's crazy? Now that I think about it, like I was about 27, 28 years old when I opened that place. And it was an inpatient program. So most of these kids, I wasn't more than 10 years older than most of these kids who called me dad, you know. Like back then I didn't really understand the significance of that. Now that I think back, I was like, I was a baby doing what? So, but here I am now. I'm opening up the first ever post concussion CTE Wellness Center. And the difference of what I'm doing is I want to provide this service for free. And the reason why I want to do it for free, because the first time I used this chamber, someone let me do it for free. The second time I used it, someone let me do it for free. And then when I knew this thing was working, my cloudiness was gone. Now I know I needed one of these things. And then I had just bought a house. It was really my death house because I was in dementia. So I bought a place in the country where I wouldn't get lost. And here I am, like I don't have that money laying around to come back and buy this machine. And so I literally laid back down on my floor again. I was ready to just, here I am again praying for death because I don't have 20,000 cash laying around. And yeah, and that's don't want anybody else to go through that. I don't want anybody to go through that. And like for me, where it woke me up, the first hour I was in there was a lot of maintenance hours on this thing for me. Like I think I've been in this machine 540 something hours, to get where I am today.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there who get that permanent relief within a month. So if you need just the first month of treatment, you're gonna need 2 sessions a day for 30 days. That's around $12,000. And so our veterans are not going to be able to afford that. Our Olympic athletes, we make no money. They're not going to be able to afford that. The housewife who fell down and hit her head can't afford that. So what I'm trying to do is provide this service for free. We are officially a not-for-profit. We also have a crowdfunding out there. If you guys see the crowdfunding, please donate and definitely share and get the word out there. Matter of fact, if everything that we said is not disturbing enough, if you go back and check out the last 2 years of, well, let's go a little bit further back. Let's go to 2012. 31%, and we mentioned this earlier, 31% of the mass shootings in America are done by our veterans now. These are our American heroes. And now they're coming back. They need help. They're not getting the help they need. And they're turning the gun on us. So we got to do something to help them. And also our athletes, man, they're also killing themselves and killing other people as well. There is a history here now. And now that we know what it is, we need to do something about it. And the only thing that I've found is this thing back here. Like there's nothing else that's out there that I found that's going to work for you. No one else has found anything else that's going to work for you. And Joe Namath is the one who, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know about it. He showed up at the right time and he saved my life. And so I've been able to pass information on. I've been able to save more lives. And we just want to keep the work going and let people know that it's out here. If you can afford it, find it, please. But
Yeah.
but eventually, hopefully, I want to be open to the public and open those doors for everybody. That's what the goal is.
And
Uh,
where's the wellness center going to be located?
I want to open in the center of the country because I have access to cheaper real estate there. So what I can pay, well, I'm in Los Angeles right now. So whatever I can pay for uh, 1 year of rent here, I can purchase the building over there. That's the difference. And my goal is to have this thing up and going. And then, like, when I leave this earth, I want it to still be up and going and continue to function for itself. So we are a not-for-profit. So,
Yeah.
but that's what we're doing.
And do you have a website, or how can people find out more information and contact you?
Well, the best way to contact me is through social media right now. I also have a fantastic publicist. She's definitely helps me with a lot of stuff. I couldn't do this without her. But if you find my social media, my name is William. Last name is Person. Everybody's a person. Person. Don't put an S on it. Don't put an extra A's in it or anything like that. Just everybody's a person. Find me. My TikTok channel right now is dedicated to helping people, families, because one thing about this condition, like people don't get to see it in themselves. Like even though my teammates were killing themselves, I kept thinking I still got diabetes. Like,
Mhm.
no, you have the same symptoms as them. You're dealing with the same stuff. You were in the same arenas playing with them. You have the same thing they have. But I couldn't see it. And nobody ever sees it. Like even all the athletes I shared the information with, there's an article called Sledhead written by the New York Times. That article literally diagnosed me. I was seeing doctors for years. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It took the New York Times to write an article sharing the information that the Olympic team were keeping secret. Like, and then until then I understood. But also it took for my last teammate to call me speaking gibberish and to go kill himself before I was like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. It was like somebody was hitting me over the head with it the whole time. But once you get cloudy, you don't process things the same. You don't understand things the same.
Mhm.
Like matter of fact, let me give you one right here. Where I lived at in Los Angeles, I lived like it's represents my block, right? The square thing.
Yeah.
I lived right here. So on days where I was cloudy, I didn't want to hurt anybody. So I didn't want to drive my car. So there was some grocery stores over here. I would walk and get a salad from McGelson's. So I would just go here, a little short walk, make a left, cross the street. The Gelson's is right here. Now, some days I ask myself, what if I go the other way? I couldn't figure it out. I was in my apartment having meltdowns, just all emotional and just nuts. It's the same thing. I just made two rights, and but right now it's comical, it's funny. But the truth was, when I was going through it, I couldn't figure it out, and that's how like unforgiving this thing is. It's very unforgiving, and it's slow. Like I started with random days of cloudiness, and it slowly turned to that random days of clarity. So by the time it all kicked in, I never saw it coming. I
Yeah.
just didn't. Yeah,
Well, I'm really glad you figured it out, and I hope you do open that wellness center in the middle of the US, wherever that's
right,
going to be.
right in the center of St. Louis.
All that information is going to be in the show notes if you want to reach out to Will or donate. And I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you guys, and please listen. Like I was in Dimension. How many of your loved ones were there? Like check
Mhm.
into the technology. I used to work with some stuff with Jamie Foxx, and when they said he had a stroke, one of the first thing I called up his camp, and that's the first thing I told him. Don't tell me what's wrong with him. I said I don't want to be responsible for the out for the leak. I said, but if he had a stroke, check the technology on these machines because they are reversing people's strokes. If you have cancer and you're going through chemo, doctors are now putting you through this chamber before chemo, during chemo, and after chemo. And it's just wiping it out. There's so many studies out there. The problem is that this stuff is so expensive, and these old school doctors are not spreading the information. Like even when this thing brought me out of dementia, my primary doctor's like, you should stop not use that machine. Like what? Like what do you mean? He never even did the research. He didn't even know I'm using such a low pressure machine. The ones in the hospitals are 3 atmospheres. Mine is a 1.3. You can sleep in this thing all day, they say, and not cause the harm to yourself. I don't do that, of course, and I would never do that. But yeah, if your loved one is struggling with this stuff, ask yourself, where have they been? Like if the doctors don't have answers for you, you have to ask yourself, where have your loved ones been over the last 10, 15 years? Were they around military? Were they playing sports? And then if the answer is yes, then you probably, or if they had a bad concussion to a car accident, I've seen those across the board as well. That's probably where your answers are. They're over here. Yeah.
Mm.
It's the reason why the doctors can't figure it out. They can brain scan you, PET, they can do all the scans. Unless you have a really, really bad one, the brain bleeds won't show up. Like you have to have a really massive brain bleed that's going to show up. CTE, they're not going to find it till you're dead. So, but the key is if your loved one is doing things out of character, you hear it all the time. They were just not acting like themselves. Or you hear the neighbor, oh, he was such a nice guy until he wasn't. That's the key sign right there. Nothing else. When they're not acting like themselves, find out why. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Will, for spreading that info, and um, hopefully it'll reach the people that'll need to reach, which is,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.